Hey everybody, and welcome to Rampage Week 5. We're here with Team 10 versus the Best Friends Alliance. Getting right into pick and ban, we see Best Friends Alliance takes away the Vi, and Team 10 looking to ban the Seraphine here, which is something I expected, seeing as a lot of players on the Best Friends Alliance play that champion, and she's so powerful.
Yeah, banning away something that's a flex pick is definitely the right choice, especially a flex pick that is as strong as Seraphine is.
Oh yeah.
See that followed up with a Talon ban from Best Friends Alliance. Talon is
Talon.
pretty strong this patch in my opinion, and
Oh yeah.
can be really tough to deal with, especially if he gets ahead.
Really powerful with that Muramana and the Prowler's Claw, both really good items, and he abuses them super well, so good ban if you're scared of it, and if it starts snowballing, it's super hard to stop. Nautilus taken
ban
away as well, just reliable engaged support.
Yeah, pretty standard there, not too much to say about it. Just a solid ban to take off if you don't want them to have that hook that's the size of multiple lanes.
Yeah, have to see what the pick priorities are like for Best Friend Alliance, what they're wanting to first pick, and if they potentially want to ban counters against that here. Team 10 did ban Nautilus, which we were thinking maybe Kaisa first pick could come in if they value that super highly. But of course, it really could be anything, and Nautilus taken away, which is a very powerful duo with it. And also Senna banned, so no Senna, no fasting Senna, none of that in this game.
I'm expecting if we don't see a Jarvan ban here, that Best Friends Alliance may first pick the Jarvan. Dr. Drangus plays a lot of it and has a lot of success in it, and seems like Team 10
Respected. Yeah,
agrees
they
with
do
that,
ban
so
away
we
the Jarvan.
give it the ban.
And they pick up Tristan on the Best Friends Alliance. ADC definitely plays it. I'm not sure how flexible it is to the mid lane, but Tristana is super powerful mid lane and in the ADC position right now.
Yeah, I think it's a really solid first pick because, as you mentioned, it is a flex pick. And even if it's not a flex pick, and you're just going to be playing it bot, Tristana is a perfectly solid pick bot. Even into her bad matchup, she can still at least hang out, farm, and become strong later.
Yeah, I mean, she has such a strong all-in early game, and then she scales as well. Although, Team 10 picks up Ashe and Rel. Rel definitely another power pick on this patch. Super reliable engage, a long CC chain that she has as well, and then Ashe can pile on top of that too, so that's pretty scary, though. Tristana can leap out of the engage if she uses it at the right time.
Can definitely buffer it if you're doing it right. And Leona with the Tristana, I'm imagining we're going to end.
Ooh!
Okay, a blind pick Alawi. That is a little questionable to me. Alawi is a champion that is very vulnerable to being kited, and Ashe is a champion that's really good at kiting people that are vulnerable to being kited, so...
Yeah, it is a bit early to pick the Alawi. She's really good against Rel. She's great against champions that jump on you, but
yeah,
definitely bad against Ashe. It's going to be really hard to play. We'll have to see, though. Maybe they're picking this with the expectation that Team 10 doesn't have an answer for it. Anything that they could pick into it would be melee and like a good matchup for Alawi, like Nasus.
Yeah, Nasus definitely not that bad for Alawi, but...
Yeah.
I mean, Nasus is a champion that can kind of hang out in lane, just farm up. He's happy to do so, and
yeah,
unless he really fucks up, I don't think Alawi will be able to take him down. So it's just sort of a, okay, you can play Alawi. We're just gonna have the lane be even.
Yeah, and... I mean, if either of them can really ball rolling, the lane gets really hard for the other, but it seems unlikely without jungle intervention. And speaking of jungle, we do see a bunch of jungle bans coming in here. All the chem tank junglers getting taken off the table, Skarner and Volibear. And Malzahar as well don't want their Rel or Nasus getting ulted as they engage in the team fight.
Yeah, and Orianna banned because they don't want their Nasus or Rel engaging a team fight with a ball on them.
Yeah. Rel Orianna is just a disgustingly good combo, so I think that's a very smart ban from Best Friends Alliance.
I am interested to see what they pick here. I would imagine they pick their jungler and leave their mid to be the counter pick. And that is indeed what they're going to do. Pick up the Hecarim. I mean, we've been seeing
Tank jungler was not banned.
We've been seeing Hecarim a ton in everywhere. So not too surprising to see him. Just super solid champion. Can snowball really well, really scary. Ganks can be very hard to avoid. But if he gets put behind, he is going to have a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. I mean, guess what, though? Alawi looking like a really good pick now.
Yeah.
Against Rel, Nasus, Hecarim, it's such a good game for Alawi. Now, 3 melees, 2 of which are basically forced to run into you, like, wholeheartedly in the Rel and the Hecarim. They have to engage or they're not really useful.
Yeah.
And on the same page, Igar is such a good pick here. I love that pick against that trio right there.
Yeah, Veigar really, really strong into this team. And as you mentioned, yeah, Alawi ending up being a super, super strong pick here. It's almost like Team 10 said, hey, we don't care that you're playing Alawi. We're just going to pick what we want anyway. And so we'll just want to see if that
for comfort, and maybe Best Friends Alliance knew that. I mean, Feathers and Fur very comfortable on the Alawi in the first place, but they could also be saying, you know, you don't have a proper answer to this if we even do pick it this early in the draft, so they just pick it up. And the last pick for Team 10 is Cassiopeia, which, not melee, but pretty low range, okay for Alawi as far as the team fights go, and I think a pretty good matchup for Veigar usually.
Yeah, it's Definitely not very punishing towards the Vigar.
Hmm.
I will say I think it is actually pretty solid against most of Best Friend Alliance's team, this thing. So it seems like
Hmm.
Team 10 opted to pick the Cassiopeia less for the laning phase and
Yeah.
more for the team fight phase, which I mean, if you look at the two teams, it's pretty apparent what both of them want to be doing. It's just team fight city out here. Plenty of
Oh yeah.
engage from both sides and plenty of team fight power from both sides, whether it be a Mumu ult or Cassio ult or Rel.
Yeah. Lots of AOE, lots of engage on both sides. Leona Amumu for the Best Friends Alliance, and then you have Ash, Rel, and Hecarim all being able to engage for Team 10. So they have a lot of go buttons, and we'll have to see if they can utilize them to make picks, generate winning fights.
Yeah, I would imagine that the early dragons this game are probably going to be very contested by both sides.
Hmm.
And I would also imagine that the bot lane in particular this game is going to be a point of interest.
Yeah, I expect to see a lot of 3-4 mans down there. Both lanes have super good setup for ganks. They're both somewhat vulnerable to ganks. Tristana less so, but the Leona can still get caught out, of course, even if she is very tanky. I think, honestly, bot prio is going to be super important for this because, as you said, the dragons, if you're team fight comp versus team fight comp, that artificial scaling that the dragons can give any team, or just the soul point win condition,
Mhm.
is so strong when you're just matching up 5v5 like this.
Yeah, even a single dragon, especially if it's something like the Mountain Drake,
Hmm.
that can literally change the entire tides of a single fight just from the extra resistances you're getting from it. So I would
Yeah.
imagine is that we're seeing both teams sort of contesting that.
Oh yeah. Really hoping for feathers and fur on that Alawi to also build a black cleaver this game. The enemy team has
Absolutely.
3 tanks, depending what builds the enemy team goes for, but probably 3, 2.5. So black cleaver going to be a super good buy this game. But other than that, we'll just have to see how the game unwinds. I am wondering how they're going to want to do this because, of course, both teams do have a split pusher. Nasus
Mhm.
and Alawi, both pretty good at split pushing. And we said they want to 5v5. But I do wonder, maybe they want to put that Nasus in the side lane. That's why they picked it. They say it can outscale the Alawi and then just push in the side lanes. And maybe they don't want to go full 5v5, but just take the engages and maybe cover the Nasus and create picks there.
It's certainly possible. I would especially think that that strategy has a lot more merit this game because of the Vigar pick on the enemy
Mhm.
team. Because Vigar obviously is a great champion at disengaging, especially when you couple him with something like Tristana. He stuns half the team, and Tristana yeets the rest of them out of the fight. So it's
Yep.
just you just can't really get a good engage. So if you have the split pusher there, it certainly makes that a lot less of a problem because you can still get the pressure somewhere else while you're forcing them to use their cooldowns.
Yeah. And now that you mention it, actually, Tristana and Vygar do have a little bit of synergy where she can just ult people into the Vygar box
Mhm.
wall and just stun them up with that. So we'll have to watch out and see if Snugglebot goes for that at all, or if he's just going to be playing pretty standard front to back, just hitting what's in front of him with Tristana. Probably see him pick up a crack, just pump out damage.
Mhm. One thing I do think we should be noting is the jungle matchup is a little bit rough this game for Best Friends Alliance.
Hmm.
Hecarim early on is going to be able to smack a Mumu around. If a Mumu's hitting all of his abilities, and by all of them I mean his Q, then
Yeah,
it's not too bad, but he's never going to be in a position where he can outfight Hecarim. He can just kind of survive him,
yeah,
which makes it so if there's ever a 3v3 like scrap bot lane, it's a lot tougher for Best Friends Alliance to sort of get the upper hand in that sort of engage.
yeah. It's also dependent on Matchu Tang's rune choice. If he goes the Conquer, it's going to be way harder for a Mumu to fight him, and if he goes Phase Rush, then well, Hecarim basically gets to pick when he wants to fight because he
I
can just disengage at any point. I'm hoping to see Conquer here. He's up
Yeah,
against 3 pretty tanky people,
three
so
pretty
I think
tanky
he'll get a
people.
lot of value out of it.
And looking at these team comps, I'm expecting that these fights are not going to be done in an instant. They're
Yeah,
definitely the sort of longer engagements kind of thing. I want to see the Conqueror with the Ghost and potentially using that to its full value. just going absolutely hamburgers on the Hecarim.
Yeah.
So we'll have to
Just
see,
trying
though.
to get that Rampage and Conqueror stacked up and then just start tearing through the front line. Hecarim very strong in those extended fights. He does have the great engage, but not to be forgotten is that Q spam. So much damage coming through.
Absolutely. But we will have to see when we get into game. For now, though, we're going to throw it over to a quick break while we wait for the spectator delay.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Rampage Open Week 5. Back here with Best Friends Alliance versus Team 10 here on the red side. We see them stacking up for a 5-man. Looks like they want to invade that bottom tri-bush.
Yeah, and they've definitely got CC to kill people if they run into anyone. And
Yeah, look at
look at Nerf
Tristana.
Snuggle, but
Uh-oh.
oh, this is oh boy.
Here's Rel. She gets the
He's
W,
dead.
chaining up on her, and she's just done for. That's a first blood. It goes to Rel, but it's still a kill for absolutely free. No summoners used, no
Yeah.
nothing. So 400 gold to the side of Team 10.
And if Rel gets to go back and spend that money, then it'll make that bot lane, which we mentioned being a big point of interest, all the better to start. But it looks like Winnie the Doom is opting to emote spam and leap into the sky. So doesn't want to spend that money, I guess.
Yeah, I would have much rather. He could have went and bought a ruby crystal there, even, or a cloth armor and a control ward. A really good buy up there. So I am a little disappointed that he didn't decide to recall, but not a game decider. He'll get to spend that gold either way.
Yeah, he'll still get to spend it. I think it's a little bit bigger of a misstep than you're making it out to be. Having that 400 gold just to start the lane as an advantage is absolutely massive when you're going to be the point of interest. Oop, Dr. Just don't let that reset, buddy. But looks like he's not kiting it very far. He knows that he doesn't want to screw himself over, so.
Yep. Just farming out the lanes here. We did note in the loading screen that Machu Tang has Conquer, so good, like we wanted. Also, Yodeler has Conqueror 2 on that Cassiopeia, so I like to see that as well against the team this tanky. Higgy did take Grasp, which I would say is acceptable because he does have to survive the laning phase with that Alawi, but Conqueror would have been fine as well on him.
Yeah, I don't know the Nasus tech too well. I thought people usually took Spellbook. I don't know if that's sort of oh.
Well, there you go. Bot lane hits level 2, and Winnie the Doom just instantly forces a flash out of Snugglebutt there, so another free play, and they get the flash out of that all-important Tristana. She does still have the rocket jump, so she has a little bit of safety, but a little bit more vulnerable now.
I like to see that, because Winnie the Doom and Book of Coconuts both immediately started to walk forward as they hit level 2, and they just, that means they're on the same page, working together good. And it also lets me know that they are aware of what they need to be doing in this lane. Sort of get that early thing, put the pressure on, probably shove this wave into the turret, but it doesn't actually look like it's going to make it.
See a play forming on the top side here. Here comes Hecarim in the top side. Cassiopeia behind him as well. They're in onto the Alawi, but it looks like she's just going to be able to walk away scot-free. She pulls in the soul, actually. She's fighting this out. Mumu lands the bandage toss in, flash away from Higgy, and the tentacle goes out onto Hecarim, and he's dead. Cassiopeia chasing under the turret, doing so much damage to Mumu, but she's trapped in the cage now. Flashes over the wall. Looks like she might be able to get out. Alawi hits the Q. One more auto from Vigar is going to do it, and that takes Yodeler down. A kill for the Vigar, and we're right down here to bottom lane action. The rocket jump goes almost nowhere. Ash putting out so much damage, but the Rel is so slow, gets stunned up and taken out by the Tristana, along with the Ignite.
And Book of Coconuts there, he used his cleanse because he must have been like muscle memory thinking, I need to heal my support, but he has cleanse, so he just wastes it on the bot side. And right there we see, imagine if the Rel had a little bit more armor, or the Ruby Crystal, as you mentioned. Maybe she survives that. Maybe she survives long enough for them to turn on the Nerf Snugglebutt. And I just, it's such a little thing, but it can be so big in those early trades. And now they have to play from behind because, well, I guess it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. And
Leona
just a little bit of forgetfulness, because you have to know that having that cleanse makes your 2v2 much, much weaker. As like, unless the Leona is blowing the Ignite onto the Ashe, and then she gets to cleanse it, then you're basically at a summoner spell disadvantage, because cleanse doesn't do any sort of damage exchange. It just cleanses the CC off of you. Sure, maybe it lets you get off an extra auto attack, but it's nowhere near as good as heal.
Yeah, it isn't as good as heal. I wouldn't call it a straight up summoner. Oh, wait a minute.
The bandage toss lands under Rel, but she's just dismount over the wall, gets that shield as well. She's perfectly fine. Waddling around.
Best Friends line does get what they're looking for with that, which does seem to be the bot crab.
Yep.
And crabs, particularly on this patch, are very, very important with the nerfs to the rest of the jungle, both in XP and gold, so it's super important to make sure your jungler doesn't get double crabbed, and it doesn't look like either jungler is getting double crabbed this game. So.
Dragon is on the map, and the Best Friends Alliance does have bottom priority. We could see Dr. Drangus go for it. It is that coveted Mountain Drake, what I would say is the best singular Drake in the game, but playing it safe, they don't know for sure where Hecarim is, so they're just going to hold off for a bit.
Yoldler putting a little bit of pressure on the Billy here. I would... Lorel's kind of getting chunked down a little bit by this Tristana, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go for something here. Oh, top lane though.
Under the turret. Oh, you can't walk into him like that, Nasus. You're going to take up so much damage. Takes out the soul. Nasus is really low, but Feathers and Fur tank so many turret shots. The tentacles slam down and finish him off with ease. Just too fast when Alawi has that ult on. Those tentacles come down so fast and take him out.
Oh.
Cassio misses the ult, doesn't quite get the stun, but the slow is still on. She has enough mana. She's chasing him down. Vigar here, no flash. Lands the last Q, needs one more E and gets it. Yoldler with a solo kill onto Billy Willard.
Now, I would like to see Yoldler go back to base right away here and then just have his team do the dragon. Because he has the TP, so he can go back, buy some stuff.
And Tang just backed.
Yeah, that was... They should have taken the dragon there. But a little bit of a just sort of macro misplay that was pretty easy to go for there. The bot lane is close enough to the point where with the extra help you're going to be able to take that dragon, but maybe they're worried about Drangus's Amumu. Maybe they're like not sure if he hit level 6 or not and just didn't want to risk it.
Oof, yeah, Nasus is taking a beating up here. Not a good matchup for him, and it's showing. And I will like to shout out Feathers and Fur for the great itemization already in Executioner's Calling online. When you're playing Alawi, you have all that AoE, and the enemy team has Cassiopeia, Hecarim, Nasus, so much healing. So the Executioners is a super high value buy here.
Yeah, it also just helps her, if she ever does get into a one-on-one, just sort of fight against the Nasus to make sure she's going to win it. Because Nasus at level 6 is very good at 1v1ing, even without many Q stacks, which a lot of people kind of do sleep on. So it's good to see the respect coming in just for that as well. Oh,
here comes a stun onto the Hecarim. The rocket jump coming in as well, and he just gets one shot, but a two-man stun coming out from Winnie the Doom. Stun follows up. Vantage Toss is zoning out Ashe, though. She's just getting soloed down by this Amumu, and the Rel is getting chased down. Snare comes in, stun comes in. Tristana just autoing her down. Nerf Snugglebutt gets a free kill, and Boca Coconuts cannot join. He's just zoned out by the Amumu. Dr. Drangus doing a good job making sure his team can get that kill by themselves, and now they're just going to get a dragon.
Yeah, they're going to get the Brick Drake as well. It's... Oh, Higgy.
Here he goes under the turret. This didn't end well last time, and it's not going to end well this time. Feathers and Fur just takes him down.
Yeah, you can't go for that.
No.
I mean, you got destroyed under your turret when the Alawi just had a corrupting potion. You got to know to just sort of cut your losses, because if this Alawi gets more and more fed, this Nasus is going to be more or less deleted from the game.
Oh, yeah, she is on the Zenith Blade, comes in, Tristana flashes forward, doesn't have the rocket jump to go in, though, so there's not going to be any follow-up, but they do get Boca Coconuts flash out for her Snugglebutt's flash, so a one-for-one trade there, more or less. They will take that, it seems.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a one-for-one trade. I don't think Nerf Snugglebutt really needed to flash at all.
No, he did not, but that's what it ended up being.
Yeah, so... This is just looking very rough for Team 10. Matchu Tang going for
only level 5. He cannot do this. This is bad news. Alawi doesn't have ult at least, but neither does Nasus. Vigar is here. The box comes in, putting out so much damage. Matchu Tang cannot join this fight. He is way too low from that Alawi Test of Spirit, and they're just going to have to walk away.
Yeah, I mean, even without the ult right now, Feathers and Fur is more than strong enough to 2v1 these... This Nasus and Hecarim. I mean, Hecarim without... he's level 6 now, but...
Billy Willard taking him so much damage here. He's got the Cassiopeia in the box, so he gets to walk away, but that's bad.
No,
here comes the Solar Flare onto Ashe. She has flash, so she just goes down nice and easy.
And this is what I was worried about in the champ select. I said that there was going to be a lot of bot lane focus, and there really hasn't been. But... Best Friends Alliance.
There's a lot of bot lane action, not a lot of bot lane focus.
Winning.
Yeah.
So, even without having Drangus help, even without
Cassiopeia
Drangus's
flashes
help,
in.
and Matchutang having the advantageous jungle matchup, 2 out of the 3 lanes lost with that advantageous jungle matchup, which means that you're in a very tough spot on this Hecarim, because Hecarim when he's behind is so much weaker than Hecarim when he's ahead, more so than a lot of other champions who are able to play from behind. And so it just puts you in such an awkward position this game.
Yeah, Hecarim from ahead is just a total unstoppable monster. It feels like behind. He has the tank build now. He gets to go chem tank, so he's not that bad from behind, but it's still way, way worse. Ooh, Xenoblade just barely misses.
And it's particularly nasty in this game because he can't gank top.
Absolutely.
They cannot do anything to Feathers and Fur up here. Alawi is a champion notoriously good at 2v1ing, to the point where sometimes if the lane's even, you don't want to go up there anyway because it'll make it uneven because she'll just win.
Yeah, sometimes putting more champs against Alawi is her advantage.
Yeah, so he can never gank top. He can go bot, but it is a little scary down here. The Tristana is very strong, and they can potentially turn it if they play their cards right. Which more or less means he... Oh.
Xenoblade comes in, lands onto Ashe, getting CC chained up. Amumu is here, lands the bandage toss as well. Cleanse comes in, but the ult lands from Amumu. Curse of the Sad Mount coming in and winning the Doom, taken down by Toasted first. He gets that kill, but still another win for the Best Friends Alliance.
And I want to give a shout out to Winnie the Doom there. That was a really, really good defensive relo. Because Book of Coconuts was getting slowly beaten down by the Amumu. And so he was gonna die, but the relo was able to pull Drangus back and sort of protect his AD carry. So a good defensive use there, getting a little bit of just sort of safety and not losing as much, which is pretty important, I would say. So it's good to see the knowing to use it defensively instead of only as an aggressive tool to fight.
Absolutely. And let me draw attention to Alawi's inventory real quick here. A full Gore Drinker finished up for her. So if she wasn't able to be ganked before, she can practically 3v1 right now. And she's just ulting for the chunk. Can that a lot of damage though? But basically pushes him right out of lane after the TP.
Yeah, he just TP'd to lane, so chunking him that badly is just like torture, and it probably means that she's going to end up getting this turret like most likely on this wave because he cannot stay.
Yeah, it means that she can dive him. If she lands the Q on the double on the clone and him, he's gonna take so much damage. Yeah, or just land the E and does so much damage.
Yeah, it looks like
he's hovering around. He wants to defend this turret, but he really can't. And yeah, Feathers and Fur just gonna take it down. Hecarim coming up. Alawi has no ult. Maybe a winnable fight.
He has a
Iggy
full
is
Gore
so
Drinker.
low, but the Gore Drinker is gonna come in big. And yeah, Matchutang seems to decide better of it.
I really wish I would see Matchutang just trying to do something to help out Yodeler here. Yodeler has been winning this lane pretty handily, I'd say. I mean, he's up over 20 CS, has been bullying Billy every time we look into this lane, and so I would really like to see him getting some jungle assistance, maybe get some kills, turn your one winning lane into a lane that's really, really far ahead. But
he gets stunned up by the wall here. He's gonna chain into a Leona combo. Tristana's here, 2-man stun from the Cassiopeia. She's putting out so much damage on the Tristana. The Buster Shot comes out, but the poison ticks down, and that's a shutdown to Yodeler, who you just shouted out for playing well in the laning phase so far, and he finally gets rewarded with a shutdown right in his pocket.
Yeah, he is doing a
He's in the box, though. He's going to take so much damage, and he's just going to get ulted up by Billy Willard right after we complimented him. He oversteps super hard.
This always happens to me. I'm like, hey, good job. And then they just end up stepping a little too far up. But I mean, I've been there. You get a big shutdown. You're feeling pretty good. Like, damn, I do a lot of damage. And just walk up and Vigar goes, what if I pressed R on you? And you go, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
I guess I'm dead.
You do a lot of damage. But still gotta put some respect on his name.
Yeah. Billy Willard was having none of it. Getting a good kill there. But still, the shutdown going over to Yodeler is very, very important. His team is still down 5,000 gold, but he's going to be doing a lot of damage, and with that Cassio ult, he's going to be able to get some important stuns off, and potentially even some more of the shutdowns, because I don't know how it works, but I would imagine that Illaoi cannot W in Cassio W. So if you're able to get the stun onto Feathers and Fur and then put the W under the Illaoi, you can a lot of the times be a pretty good answer to it. So it's not completely hopeless. This Illaoi is very... No, naturally, you don't want to do that.
Feathers and Fur showing absolutely no respect because he does not need to. Look at him. He just walks right at the Hecarim and says, "This is my house. Please don't come here."
Yeah, the problem is, unless they're under the turret, there are no two champions on the map that can 2v1 Feathers and Fur right now. Cassio can lane against this Illaoi and just clear waves and not die, but you need Cassio to be mid to prevent the engage, so it's very awkward.
Lands. He's going to get the ult on two people doing so much damage. The double soul hits from the tentacles, from the Q, doing so much damage. Billy Willard gets a really good box and really good damage. His Curse of the Sad Mummy comes out. Hecarim walking away with a sliver, but he's got the bomb and gets taken down by Nerf Snugglebutt.
Yeah,
nice and easy. Rift Herald pop mid. They're going to look for the pin hit possibly here. Yodeler trying to defend, but he's pretty low.
Oh, no. Okay. Crayon, stepped out of the minion or the turret aggro, and I was a little worried that Rift Herald was going to die before getting this free last charge. Ooh.
Here's an engage from Rel, lands right onto Leona, but no one else gets CC chained up though. Leona going back for Mumu in here too. Leona goes down, and Mumu in too deep, taking up so much damage. The box comes out onto two though. Ness is so low. Ash Arrow whiffs. She's walking up, and she gets Buster shot and taken out by Nerf Snugglebutt. The reset's coming in. She's rocket jumping, doing so much damage, but Yodeler gets the stun from the Petrifying Gaze, putting out damage. Walks into the wall. She's gonna get killed up by Billy Willard. Oh, again, a little bit of overconfidence from Yodeler. He's popping off in the fight, and then he walks right into the box.
Yodeler gets these modes he just gets in there and he's hyped and just going, and then he just gets trapped in the middle of the Vygar box and then just goes, you know what, I want out, and just kind of runs into the wall. A little tragic, but again, there was that damage of his though that I was talking about. He was able to, in a fight where his team is very far behind in gold, still able to make things pretty even off of what I would say was a pretty good engage from the Best Friends Alliance there.
Feathers and Fur buys up a Guardian Angel.
I like this purchase.
He's so strong that if they do manage to kill him, they actually don't.
Yeah.
So it is a non-conventional buy on the Illaoi. Usually you'd see the Sterax or something of that sort come out here, but when you're this fed and you have this much extra gold, I think you can afford to go for that inefficient stats-wise item in the Guardian Angel to guarantee that your lead stays.
Especially when you look at the enemy team and you see that at least at this point in time, they still don't have any healing reduction, which means that the only way they're going to kill this Illaoi is by layering a lot of CC, which is going to take a lot of their resources. And so you knock it into the Guardian Angel, and then you're out of CC options, because like presumably you're going to be using Cassio, Ashel, and maybe even like Hecarim ult or something. And then the Illaoi gets back up and Gore Drinkers you, and then you're in some trouble.
He is so strong. Look at him. He has been playing Farming Simulator. No nasty. He's got 211 farm at 19 minutes. I saw him take that bottom wave, take that turret, and then teleport top to take the waves and start pushing top.
We see a quick little pause here as it looks like Billy Willard has been disconnected, so hopefully he'll be getting back decently soon. I wouldn't imagine it's going to take too long, but yeah. 211 farm at 19 minutes is ridiculously good. He's Flame Horizoned his own mid laner, so
yeah.
This
Illaoi farms super efficiently, just wave clears super nicely, and she hasn't had anyone to stop her, so just been farming up, and the Bandage Toss lands on Rel. She's gonna blast Cone away. Illaoi up here in a 2v1, but she doesn't really care. She should be perfectly fine, though it is about to be a 4v1, so we'll see how it turns out for Feathers and Fur if he can't get away. He's just walking away. He doesn't even take the blast plant. He wants this. He's going for it. Pulls the soul on Hecarim, putting out so much damage, but they are staying out of the Illaoi. Getting damage up. Feathers and Fur is just healing right through, but there are 5 people here. He's in the Guardian Angel. They're going to go for it. Yodeler is chasing him down, misses the Q, but the Rel comes in. The Q lands, the stun lands, chained up, and Cassiopeia gets the shutdown and they get the GA, so that's really, really good.
Yeah,
Even a
and
2-for-1, that's worth it.
honestly, I think that's because Feathers and Fur was a little bit aggressive on his ult there. He
Yeah, he
used
was
it
very impatient with his ult.
very early, and if he had just held on to it, it makes it so much harder for them to engage on him, because if they walk up and he threatens his ult with on 3 people, then they just get shredded in that fight. But he only actually ended up hitting it on the Hecarim Ghost.
Yeah.
So, and he still killed as many people as he did there. So that was with a bad ult. So very
I believe
skimpy.
he had flash too, and
He did.
for anyone who doesn't know, you can ult and then flash on a and the tentacles will spawn and you will land where you flash to immediately. So he can just flash in the middle of the Ashe and the Rel and maybe get a 3 or a 4-man ultimate and just start slamming everybody there. But yeah,
But
like you said, a little impatient with his ult, but nonetheless, he has 3 full items.
3 full items. He got like a kill. I think he got 2, didn't he?
2
Yeah, he
kills,
got
yeah.
2 kills before being brought down. And his team picked up a dragon, which puts them onto Ocean Soul Point. And if you thought the Alawi was hard to kill already, well, you slap an Ocean Soul on there, and all of a sudden it's like a complete monster that you're dealing with.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see healing reduction come out for Team 10, hopefully in Executioners, but here's Matthew Tang walking into the box, and there's just nothing he can do. He's just dead, checking in, and Baron is on the table now for the Best Friends Alliance. The Test of Spirit just barely misses, and Best Friends Alliance starting up the Baron. We'll have to see, can Team 10 find anything about this?
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that they're not going to contest this, because
Going down and quit.
if they take the Baron, you can still turtle. If they take the Baron and ace you on top of it, well, that's a problem.
Yeah, you're probably gonna get at least double inhib, and it's gonna be a really bad time.
Yeah. So I like to see what they did there. Book of Coconuts going for a miracle steal with Ashe W. Perfectly fine. So gotta hope that Yodeler can sort of hang out in this lane, wave clear even against these Baron minions, but it's rough. It's tough times out here.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a really hard lane or hard game for Team 10 to win at this point. They're down 10k gold. The enemy team is at Ocean Soul Point, and their team comp honestly matches up quite well against yours. Malawi that fed, but Ashe looking for an engage here nonetheless. Matthew Tang going in super. He's just gonna get shredded down by Nerf Snugglebot. Amumu can't say the same. He's tanky. Cassiopeia gets buster shotted away. A big Rel ult lands, but she's all by her lonesome, so nothing's gonna come of it. Feathers and Fur up here, bullying out the Nasus. Now they got a 5v3 going on, but Billy Ward flashes in. He's taking up damage from Yodeler, but forces out the flash from Book of Coconuts, and now they're just gonna push right onto the inhib.
Yeah, and something to note in that fight was that I've been singing Yodeler's praises this game, but he just kind of whiffed his ult in that fight. It hit absolutely nobody while he got ulted on nobody and then thrown out of the fight by Nerf Snugglebutt. So that is a fight where I honestly think that was actually a pretty good engage by Winnie the Doom. I think Matthew Tang went way too hard.
He went way too ham, yeah.
He is a very, very squishy horse.
Whoa, speaking of too ham, Dr. Drang is way too far there, buddy. And here goes Yodeler going ham as well, flashing in for the 5th. They're taking out so much damage on Leona, but Tristana jumps in so aggressively, shreds down the Ashe, nearly just one-shots her, and she leaps onto the face of Hecarim. The Hecarim manages to take her down, and here's Rel. She just gets boxed up and taken down. Alawi up here on the top side. Nasus, you're on the wrong side, man. She's just killing your inhibitor right in front of you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Look at Nasus, no mana, nothing he can do here.
Yeah.
Gonna take another chunk of his HP, and it is looking dire. Probably a triple inhib coming in for the Best Friends Alliance.
Yeah.
Watch out, here comes the Alawi Q, and he's dead. Maybe just end the game, really. Feathers and Fur can recall for mana and teleport back here and just look for the end.
Yeah, I would imagine that they push to end here. It's pretty easy too. I mean, this game just...
Everfrost lands, takes off the Banshee's Veil. The Zenithblade goes in, but you're under the turrets. Solar Flare follows up and misclicks his ult. Doesn't hit the Cassiopeia with it. Gets ulted up by Rel and getting it CC'd and taken down, shut down over to Ashe. So Team 10 still technically holding on, but they are triple inhibbed. And guess what? Amumu was just about to claim the Ocean Soul. So
Yeah,
Still breathing, but it's going to be nearly impossible.
I don't like to call games over, but this game they need more than a miracle.
Absolutely. They just need the entire enemy team to disconnect.
Yeah, and
And
it's
honestly, even if 4 of them disconnect and Feathers and Fur is still in the game, I think lost. So, they're gonna have to pick their targets wisely here. But
yeah, they
a
need
team fight's just basically unwinnable at this point. They're gonna try their hardest. They're not FFing, but we'll see what happens. And Ash Arrow comes in, but no one's close enough for the follow-up, and that's a really important tool down. Rel and Hecarim both don't have their ults too if a fight comes, so it's gonna be super, super hard.
yeah. I would imagine that Best Friends Alliance is just going to kind of walk in, do whatever they want, and then win the game here. But we'll see. Team 10, maybe they can pull out a miracle. Drangus looking for an engage, doesn't quite find one there.
The turret goes down. The Nexus is open for Team 10 now.
Yeah, they have nothing left to defend here.
Mukyu comes in, 3-man Curse of the Sad Mummy in, the Solar Flare comes in, Rel Engage lands onto nothing, and I mean, what do you say here? It's just a total slaughter. I'm being taken down, but they're just right on the Nexus, and it doesn't matter. Gonna
Yeah.
get blown up with ease.
Yeah, just a very, very solid game from the Best Friends Alliance. They were playing around their split pushing Alawi quite well, which is always a good thing to see. A lot of teams do struggle to play around that sort of big split pushing threat. So it makes me happy to see that they did know what to do with that and ended up just taking the game pretty easily.
Yeah, it does make it easier when Malawi is as fed as Feathers and Fur was this game. So yeah, they just push it down to end nice and easy. And really, we saw Best Friend Alliance just winning from beginning to end this game.
Mhm.
A few glimmers of hope, a few good engages. I will say Yodeler, a bright spot,
Yeah.
doing very well in what I would say is a disadvantageous lane. A few oversteps here and there, but still overall a shining spot on his team to be sure.
Yeah, Yodeler actually in that game managed to do the most damage. I mean, it does help when you're fighting as tanky of a front line as they had as Cassio, but even so, in a game where your team is that far behind, it is good to see that you're still able to pump out the damage and do a good amount. And also, Book of Coconuts also did a lot of damage that game,
Mhm.
doing being able to get those auto attacks in the team fights, especially against a team that can kill you as easily as Best Friends Alliances could. That's very good to see, even when you're playing even further behind than Yodeler was. So both of them, I
Yep.
think, playing pretty decently considering how far behind they were, at least later into the game. And I think Winnie the Doom's Rel had a lot of really, really good moments.
Mhm.
I think like the defensive ult I really liked. There was a couple pretty good engages in there as well. So that was good to see as well. I think the Hecarim needed to be a little bit more active in the early game, maybe ganking bot a little bit, as I mentioned
Yeah.
in the middle of that game, taking some pressure mid and trying to get Yodeler a little more fed. And then Higgy up in the top lane, just that matchup's rough, man. That
Yeah.
matchup's tough.
And I mean, I was questioning it in the draft. I have to question it again now. Why are you picking Nasus into Alawi? I mean, Higgy clearly had to be confident. He picks it right into it. Maybe they say we don't want to get our top laner double banned and we have to pick something here into the Alawi. So you do have to ask why is Nasus your choice as opposed to maybe a more
Well,
traditional tank that can scale a little better or even some sort of ranged option. I understand obviously it's comfort and
it
maybe it's just lane went bad for him and usually he likes this matchup and it goes better for him. But maybe we'll have to see them ban out the Alawi next draft if they don't have a super good backup answer plan for it.
it could also just be the kind of thing where they pick Alawi and he goes, "Ooh, I don't really play any of the matchups that are really good against her."
Yeah.
So he ends up picking the Nasus because Nasus is a champion that can like just kind of play under his turret and farm pretty comfortably, but Feathers and Fur was putting a lot of pressure on him, even under the turret, and it just seemed like Higgy didn't really know what to do against it.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they ban out the Alawi in the next draft. I can
Yeah.
say personally, I don't know how to beat Alawi either, so There is. That champ is too tough for me.
Yeah, I
But
mean, she can be super hard to lane against if you don't know her cooldowns, if you don't know her damage, she punishes you really, really hard. And we saw Feathers and Fur push that super far this game, just basically tower diving Higgy, which is an all-time classic on Illaoi. As an Illaoi player, I love to do that. Just walk up to the turret, and if they try to contest you, you can dive them because you get a two-man ult. But well played by Feathers and Fur. Well played by Best Friends Alliance in general. Everyone doing their part, everyone doing the damage, providing the CC and the engages that they needed. A few bright spots for Team 10, but they do fall. We'll have to come back for Game 2, see what changes they make for draft, see what changes they make in their play, and see if they can win and bring it to 3 games total. But until then, we're going to go to a break, and we will catch you at that Game 2. Welcome back. Did you miss us? I hope not. That was a real quick break, and we're right back into the Game 2 draft.
There
Team
it
10
is.
already hovering the Illaoi ban, and I expect to see them instantly just get that out of the game.
Yeah, it's a type of thing where if you're not sure how to deal with it when it's blind picked and you end up getting sort of dismantled by it, just banning it and going, we don't know how to deal with that, we're just going to get rid of it, is pretty much always the right choice.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to admit your faults. You have to admit the holes in your champion pool, the holes in your play, your weaknesses, and just ban it. Just suck up the pride and ban it. And they also take away Vigar here. I guess they decide he's also too much of an issue if they want to keep playing these 5v5 team fight type of comps. Yodeler was doing fine against it, but clearly as a team, they just don't want to deal with the fight.
Well, Yodeler was doing fine against it in lane. I will note that in the team fights, he kept finding himself trapped in... Ooh. Team 10 getting that Seraphine first pick this time around. I think Best Friends Alliance banned it last time instead of the Tristana.
Well, Team 10 was on red side last time, so Team 10 this time, they go to the blue side. They say, we can first pick Seraphine. We can drop that ban altogether so we can ban Illaoi and Vigar. And they first pick up the Seraphine. but leave the Jarvan open. We'll have to see if Best Friends Alliance picks that up for Dr. Drangus real quick.
I would imagine he's going to play it.
Mhm.
He's had a lot of success with it, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him just sort of just say, gimme.
Yeah. Jhin pick comes in here. Comfort for Nerf Snugglebutt. Pretty good champ right now. It's quite a lot of damage, and there's the Jarvan. That super strong early game, super strong ganks, and Cataclysm is always a reliable engage, just that super strong box, especially against an immobile backliner like Seraphine. She has no way out of the Cataclysm except for her flash.
Yeah. I think Jarvan is a champion that has seemed to has had a little bit of a fall out of popularity lately, but still can sort of take over an early game just with his little flagon drags, and always very solid in terms of ganks. I will be interested to see what they opt to pick as the sort of jungle opponent for Mr. Jarvan, but I wouldn't be surprised if they end up picking a top laner here.
Yeah, I mean, new items aside, Jarvan's level 1, 2, and 3, they're the exact same, right? So he is still super strong with those early ganks, and we do see Hecarim and Varus picked up for Team 10, and instantly Best Friend Alliance picks up Urgot, who is surprisingly strong right now, a really good top laner. He synergizes super well, both Stridebreaker and the Titanic Hydra, putting out so much damage and has quite a few good matchups here. Hard to play him against the likes of Seraphine and Varus, but we'll have to see if they can keep their distance.
You see the Respect Cassiopeia ban coming in, the old lure showing that, hey, I'm a threat in this champion. And they go, yep, you are. See ya. So I really like to see that ban. The Orianna ban I'm a little less keen on. I feel like there's probably worse matchups specifically for Urgot that you could take off the table. I feel like they should have spent at least one of their bans on something to help out the Urgot in this top lane. Maybe they're saying, hey, Feathers and Fur, you're nasty, you don't need bans.
Ori is also fairly bad for Urgot in the team fights, to be fair. And Orianna is just another piece of a possible combo with Seraphine, Varus, and Hecarim ults. So they'll just take it off the table, and I respect it. I think it's fine. I did skim past it a bit, but what do you think about the Varus pick? I know he's not very popular right now, but I think it's a pretty smart counter pick to the Jhin. Do you think that's going to sort out for Team 10? Or do you think it's going to be a little bit hard to play against engage like Jarvan and Leona when you're so mobile?
I wasn't too keen on it, but I think picking the Thresh with it makes it a lot more solid, because Jarvan puts you in that cage and Thresh goes, hey, no you don't, and he goes, oh, well, thank you for the lantern, you can keep doing that damage with it. So before then I was a little bit iffy on it, but I think with the sort of extra support he's got with the peel, I think it is a lot more solid, and I think it's actually pretty decent here.
I absolutely love the Corki pick here. That is beautiful. Rounds out their damage profile, gives them the magic damage they so badly need, and a consistent damage dealer on top, because he has a frontline in front of him. He has Jarvan, Urgot, and Leona, a super strong frontline. So to pick magic damage DPS, I was hoping to see something like Corki or Rise or Cassiopeia, which is of course off the table this game, so happy to see that. And Sion on the other side, also a good pick. I think a fine matchup into Urgot, and of course scales into a total monster tank.
Yeah. Honestly, I pretty much love Sion like 90% of the time he's picked. I think that champion is very, very solid, especially when you do want to just sort of have that beefy front line for your backline carries in the forms of Varus and Seraphine. And I think that is a very, very solid pick this game.
Yeah, Sion just does a little bit of everything. He's super tanky. He's got a good laning phase for the most part. He has good wave clear. He has decent engage. So very, very good. Lots of tools in his belt. And like you said, that fresh pickup with the Varus, I also like. It's a lot like when we see Aphelios picked in pro play or high level play. It's almost always with Thresh, because Thresh entirely covers his weaknesses of being that immobile backliner that pumps out so much damage. So if we're gonna see Book of Coconuts going for the on-hit Varus, which I would expect,
you have to,
then he's gonna cover those weaknesses just like he would with Aphelios.
Yeah. And something to note is I was praising Winnie the Doom's defensive play last game, and Thresh is a champion that excels at playing defensively. So I feel like,
Very much so.
honestly, just in sort of a player style to champion matchup, this is a great pick in more ways than one for Team 10 here.
Yeah. And I will ask, we did mention last game we thought bot lane was going to be the focal point. Do you think it's the same again? I mean, again, on both sides, very good gank setup. Again, on both sides, it's a 5v5 team fight matchup, so the dragons are going to be important. Do you think it's the bot lane that's super important again?
I think
I would venture a guess that it is yes.
I would agree, but I don't think it's going to be as sort of bot lane centric as it was last game. I think this game, especially with the Jarvan against the immobile Seraphine mid, that we could see a lot of mid lane action as well. I would love to see Best Friends Alliance getting that Corki ahead and shutting that Seraphine down early. I think Dr. Drangus should be putting a decent amount of focus onto that mid lane because, as we've mentioned, the Thresh, a great defensive pick. He could play Jarvan out of EQ, Leona out of E. So it's a lot harder for Best Friends Alliance to get those successful ganks, get those successful kills off onto Team 10's bot lane. Seraphine, on the other hand, very immobile, pretty much only is going to have that flash as a defensive tool. So I want to see Drangus ganking that lane, and I want to see the Leona rotating up there. Toasted Crayons, I would love to see him sort of going, okay, Jhin, just play back for a little bit. I'm going to go roam mid. I'm going to get a kill. I'm going to get our Corki ahead, and then I'll be back. So I think that mid lane in this game is going to have a lot more action in it than it did last game. So I think the bot lane is still very, very important in this game, but a little less so than it was in game 1.
Corki is basically a cannon minion early game. He really doesn't do anything. He doesn't provide any CC. He doesn't do that much damage compared to most champions in the game. Seraphine is still vulnerable, and she can be killed by a Jarvan with red buff.
Yeah.
To be fair to your point. So I will say it is a little bit hard to gank for Corki, but definitely not impossible, especially if we see Dr. Drangus and Toasted Crayons teaming up like you want to see the support jungle doing to take down Yodeler.
And on the other side, though, on Team 10's side, I think that they have fantastic gank setup for the bot lane for this Hecarim. Just throw him a lamp and just flash in there as Thresh play, and now you've got a Hecarim inside of this immobile Jhin. And so I would imagine that they're going to be ganking bot a lot. I think that is where the bot lane focus will be. Team 10 should focus on the bot lane, and you know, if Best Friends Alliance sees that the bot lane is super out of position and that it's pretty easy to kill them, then yeah, go for it. But otherwise, I think that with the squishy Seraphine mid immobile, I think Drangus should be putting a little more attention there.
Yeah. In my opinion, mid lane is pretty much a dead zone for Team 10. Yodeler just has to try to survive the Jarvan, try to survive the Leona, play safe, play back, get your farm, get your Moonstone, or whatever mythic you're building up, and just enter the team fights and spam that W. Try to get those good encores that charm team-wide, basically cross-map as long as you can get it through enough champions. So yeah, I do hope to see Matthew Tang focusing in on the bot lane here, and it's not impossible to gank Feathers and Fur, but it is pretty hard, and there's a good chance he honestly turns on you and kills you if he can land his E on you. So we'll have to see what Matthew Tang makes of that, if he's going to be ganking bot or if he's just going to be farming up and not ganking anywhere and just having all 5 players go for the late game team fight. But until we see that, until we see how the game unfolds, we will send it to a break for the spectator delay and catch you on the other side. Hey everybody, and welcome back to week 5 of Open Rampage. We're here with the Best Friends Alliance versus Team 10. Best Friends Alliance up 1-0. We're going into a fresh game 2. Changing up the draft on Team 10 side, picking Seraphine first. We've still got 2 team fight comps, 2 5v5 comps matching up again. We'll have to see how this one shakes out.
And we're also seeing a change up of the level 1. Last game we saw the 5-man first blood. This game things seem to have calmed down. Maybe it was just sort of a catch 'em off guard game 1 of the series kind of deal. And just for the rest of the time just sort of relax. And just see what's going on.
Yodeler asking in all chat, what do I build? That's always a good sign to see. Very confident in his champion, we can tell. Probably a joke, but who knows? Maybe they just said, we need to take away Seraphine. Please play this.
It's certainly possible. Oh, he's apologizing. He says it's not you.gg. Very, very polite of him.
Yeah, Feathers and Fur says that Mobile Fire is your friend. And Leona says that Gale Force is probably good, so could see a lot of different builds possibly coming out from Yodeler here. I'm excited for the Gale Force, personally. But we'll have to see how it shakes out.
See, things pretty standard here. Although, Matchu Tang's actually just starting his blue buff by himself.
Leashless, yeah.
So, and then they're having their bot lane sort of pretend they leashed, show up to lane around the same time as other teams' bot lane, which means Matchu Tang is going for something here. What exactly, I'm not sure, but look at Feathers and Fur. He's wise to it.
Oh, he's getting a deep ward already, and he catches him out. Matchu Tang, your path doesn't mean anything. Feathers and Fur snipped you out already.
That is crazy to me, that he just did that and just immediately caught him in the act.
That is so funny.
Oh, there's Snugglebutt again, forced to flash at level 2 because he is not able to get that level 2 push before.
Not respecting it enough. The only reason I can think of that Feathers and Fur did that is, well, you can see he already warded the river, so he didn't try to ward the Jarvan here. Jarvan comes in mid lane, doesn't have a red buff though, so Yodeler not even gonna have to blow the flash. But as I was saying, I was noting in Book of Coconuts and Winning the Doom walked into lane after their fake leash. They had not spent any mana. So if you're paying close attention on the side of the Best Friends Alliance, you could maybe note that that means they didn't actually leash. It was fake because they didn't spend any mana.
You say that. I agree that it is certainly something you could take into account. However, I personally find from experience that many players don't spend any mana when they're leashing. Though, traditionally, Thresh will generally throw either like a hook or a flay, whatever he started, at it, just sort of help the jungler out. So it is something that maybe you want to use one of your abilities just in the bush.
Yeah, it certainly depends on the champ, but I would expect Thresh to spend some mana. Hook comes out onto Toasted Crayons here. The camera says that's not important and moves away, and it wasn't. Camera, you are so wise.
Thank you, camera. Now, something I want to note is that we saw Drangus already do a gank onto the mid lane, even without his red buff, which means that he sort of recognizes that it is that immobile Seraphine that is going to be vulnerable to his ganks, and I love to see it. I'm very happy to see that he's got the recognition, like, hey, I can put a lot of pressure onto Yodeler this game, and he just starts it early, even before getting both of his buffs.
Matchu Tang does get the entire full clear, though. Blue Grump, Wolves, Raptors, Red Krug straight to the crowd, but he's getting a gank bot. The hook comes in onto Toasted Crayons, lands the flay coming in soon, but the Jin W hits onto Hecarim, slows him down, the flay coming. It's both of them. First blood to Hecarim and second blood to Book of Coconuts. That's going to be a cool 700 Gs right in the pockets of Team 10.
Yeah, and it's what we were talking about. We said that the Team 10 has a great gank setup for this Hecarim. Book of Coconuts grabs the lantern and goes, wait, hold on, I don't want to.
I gotta push this wave.
But we see that was a just great gank there, sort of getting a couple free kills, and first blood on Hecarim is amazing. You want to snowball on that champion so badly. We saw last game, like, he was behind the whole game, and it was just a sad horse. But this game, he's already looking like a pretty happy horse, so good to see.
Yeah, Higgy 2016 also faring better up here in the top lane. Down a little bit of CS, but you would expect that in this matchup. That's what Sion does best, baby. He's just scaling up that health, farming up the minions as best he can. That's his job. That's all he needs to do.
You're not getting anything there. But yeah, the Sion being down like 10 CS is not that big of a deal. He's going to be able to still beef himself up, and also you have to keep into mind that each minion he kills is a little bit of stats, so while he is lacking in gold, stat-wise, he's still going to be perfectly fine.
Yeah, if you want to do some quick maths, he's got, what, 156 bonus HP? A little bit more if he got a few cannons, so he's already doing pretty good in that department, more than a Ruby Crystal to his name, so
yeah,
he's going to be perfectly tanky come later on in the game.
Sion, a champion that can definitely just sort of relax, take a farm deficit, and come out on top anyway.
Oh yeah.
We saw Magic Tank spamming that Seraphine's ult is ready, so while that could just be him joking around with Yodeler about something, it could also mean that he's looking to get a gank off onto mid lane soon. I would rather see him try to put more focus bot lane still, because Hecarim ganking Corki is kind of hard, because he is running them in Corki Ws.
If ever uses his Valkyrie, it's a free gank. Otherwise, it's basically impossible.
Yeah, he has to. That's the problem with ganking it, is it's really on Billy Willard to screw it up rather than Matchu Tang to play it well. So I would prefer him to go bot lane where you can rely on yourself and your teammates to get the ganks off. But look at this. You just get the dragon.
Yep, dragon over to the Best Friends Alliance here. They have the bot prio because of a strange back timer from Team 10's side. Maybe that Lantern helping out a bit with the one that Book of Coconuts took too early, but I will note, I love to see that from Higgy. He saved his TP and ulted back to the top lane instead. So now Team 10 has a teleport advantage in the top side. We'll have to see if they can abuse that at all, but Dragon isn't up. Could see them make a play nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, even with Dragon down, having the TP advantage is huge in case you get into a pretty close scrap in the bot lane.
Yeah.
Especially if something like Billy Willard shows up with the package, then suddenly you can have Sion and Yodeler come flying in, which is always helpful.
Yeah, I like to see that from Feathers and Fur, by the way. He used his E so that if Higgy released his Q for the knockup, it would have been the timing that Feathers and Fur just buffers right out of it, similar to a Tristana Rocket Jump. But we see something forming in the top river here. But Yodeler just getting jumped on, putting Ramsey ult onto 2. Ooh, just barely. Dr. Drangus gets out, and Seraphine taking up so much damage. Matchu Tang is in here, and on the top side, we see Feathers and Fur gets a solo kill. Higgy walking a little too close. Matchu Tang back in, already got the kill on Dr. Drangus. He needs one more hit on Billy Willard and gets it 3-0-1. Matchu, and like we said, that Hecarim snowballs so hard and so fast. He is gonna be a problem if Matchu Tang doesn't throw his lead.
And the Hecarim being ahead with a Seraphine to help him out. That's going to be so hard to kill. That is what you love to see if you're a Team 10 fan here. You wanted to see that Hecarim get ahead last game. This game, Matchu Tang's going, hey, this is why we picked it last game. I'm a threat on this champion. I love to see when people pick the same champion that they just lost on and show why they're picking it anyway, because they just start popping off. It always a great thing to see, and this game in particular, he has been doing a fantastic job of ganking and counter-ganking.
Yeah, he's got an entire jungle to full clear down through. He's already up camps. He's got 3 kills, and we said that Jarvan is an early game powerhouse, but late game, what is he but really a walking cataclysm? He doesn't do a whole lot, especially and Tang going to be far, far more useful than Dr. Drangus if he can put his lead to use.
Yeah. And falling behind on Jarvan, I was mentioning how falling behind on Hecarim is a depressing thing. Falling behind on Jarvan is arguably even worse.
Oh yeah, I would say it is. It's so rough for Jarvan to deal with.
Because at least with Jarvan, when you fall behind, you can ult. Hecarim can be very, very sad, but they're both champions that just want the snowball. Otherwise, it's so hard to do their job well. But just because he's down right now does not mean that he's out by any means. He can definitely still get these probably ganks off, whether it be onto the mid lane or helping Feathers and Fur out top lane. I think that if you get Higgy low enough, they could probably dive him decently safely. It is always a little scary against Scion with his passive and all that, but
Yeah. I am really curious about Feathers and Fur's build here. I don't think Caulfield's builds into any Iron Spike whip weapon, but we have a fight breaking out in the bot lane. Solar Flare whiffs. Hecarim going in onto the Jhin, but they have the Leona in a really bad spot, stuck in the box. She flashes out. The Bear's arrow follows through, just barely doesn't finish. Here's the hook onto Jhin. He opened up the curtains too early. You're in a bad spot, buddy, but here is Dr. Drangus doing so much damage. He puts out the Cataclysm and just barely... Book of Coconuts walks away with the heal as well. Another hook coming through, Winnie the Doom. Point and click with it. Hitting every single one. 3 for 3 there. A double kill to Book of Coconuts. All thanks to the death sentences of Winnie the Doom.
Yeah, Winnie the Doom doing a fantastic job on this Thresh. We loved it in the draft, and he's showing that I loved it for its defensive purposes, and he's going, hey, don't forget I got my hooks too, and just setting up kill after kill in this bot lane. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Book of Coconuts for playing it safe there. He was very low HP and still had the red buff burn on him, and so he opted to heal. And a lot of players would probably greed their heal there, but holding on to it is super risky, and just using it pretty much got him 2 kills. So I'm very happy.
There's just no reason, right? He might as well just use it.
Yeah.
And now they're up 6-1, up 3k gold. That Hecarim's fed and the Varus is fed. He's going on hit like we wanted versus this triple frontline team. He's going to be doing a lot of damage with that Kraken Slayer. The next dragon is up here.
As we were talking about how we want that Moonstone from the Seraphine, it looks like he's actually building a Liandry's based on the items he has in his inventory. I think that's okay.
It's okay, yeah. But I would still rather see the Moonstone. I think it's just better on Seraphine. She has a lot of abuse cases with it in her kit. She just uses it so well. But Liandry's is the second best item he could go here. The CDR it's going to give and the tank shredding it's going to give is not bad. I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either. I just would have preferred to see him build the Moonstone, particularly in a game where your jungler is as fed as he is, your AD carry is as fed as he is. You can definitely just be a sort of mega support of role in this game. You've got the front line in Scion, you've got the damage from Hecarim, Varus, and
here we go, the package on to Winnie the Doom. He's getting caught out, but the box comes out, another hook comes out onto Tosikran. TP's coming in from both sides, one down on the side of Best Friends Alliance. Another kill for Matthew Tang. The curtains get opened up, the hook lands, a 3-man charm. The encore is huge, but so is Feathers and Fur putting out so much damage. And here's the Purge, here's the Varus. He's killing everybody. 7-0, a triple kill and an ace for Book of Coconuts, and guess what? An Ocean Drake too.
And here comes Scion. He wasn't even in the fight.
That was a 4v5. TP disadvantage.
That was a 4v5 fight that ends with a triple kill for Book of Coconuts. Honestly, on the back end of that fight, Yodeler landed a massive ult on the Seraphine there, and it just sort of dismantled the rest of the fight. But we see that this Hecarim is so hard to kill, even when you land all the stuff on the he ran through the Corki package, and then when he auto-attacked with his E, he landed back in it again. And then he got Jarvan ulted in the package still, and he still killed someone before he died. Yeah. That is a terrifying prospect to deal with when you get literally the perfect amount of, like the perfect sort of sequence of moves off on him, and he still just goes, yeah, I'm gonna kill you anyway. That is not what you want to see if you are a Best Friends Alliance fan.
Yeah, and I will say a lot of people are haters on the Cloud Drake, but triple Cloud Drake and a potential Cloud Soul on Team 10 is disgusting. It is so good to get that ult CDR and potentially that ult movement speed on Seraphine, Varus, and the Hecarim, of course. There's a Scion coming down river, but I don't think they're going to get anything out of it. But Matthew Tang is looking. He's got that E, he's got the Chem Tank. He's so fast, but he just gets blast planted away by Feathers and Fur.
I will note, he didn't actually use his Chem Tank.
Yeah, he didn't.
So I like him sort of just saying, hey, if you want to fight, I'm so down to scrap with you, but also having the knowledge to go. But they probably don't want to fight, so I should save my Chem Tank because it's super useful active, and I'm probably not going to get anything if I use it here. But in the
Feathers
top lane,
Fur misses the E, so nothing's gonna come out here. Nice damage onto Billy Willard from Yodeler while his jungler is taking down the top Herald here.
this is a
Jarvan
little
and
risky.
Urgot are converging on him, and he doesn't have
He's
anyone
gonna
nearby
get
to
it.
help, but he does. He just goes straight onto Feathers and Fur, actually. He's going to take up a lot of the Purge here. Feathers and Fur misses the E. He's putting out damage. He has him up with the Fear Beyond Death, and he gets it. He eats him up, gets the execute onto Machu Tang, and that's 300 gold to Feathers and Fur, but Team 10 does get the Rift Herald. A little bit of an overextension by Machu Tang, and a lot of greed to not just ult out there.
His ult wasn't actually up when he was right there. I was keeping an eye on it. I had figured if he had ult, he would use it as soon as he got hit by Feathers and Fur, but it was not up yet. So, not greed there, just a little bit of over-aggression going for that Rift Herald there without your ult to get away, especially knowing that Higgy is shoved in and Yodeler would probably have some trouble rotating as well.
I do have to question why Yodeler wasn't there. What's up?
Alright, we'll...
Really what happened there was Yodeler didn't rotate to the Rift Herald when he had that pressure mid lane, so I think it's really, really questionable. I wouldn't put the full blame on Machu Tang there that his team didn't really move to help him. It is very hard for Higgy, admittedly, to get pressure against that Urgot. It is a losing matchup for him, to be fair. But Yodeler had total pressure, and he didn't move to help.
Something I want to note there is we just saw the reason.
Comes in, but Jarvan's in there as well. The Cataclysm locks up the Seraphine, but the Flash comes out from holding it under the turret, but the Shield Bow comes in. He's trying to run away. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to finish him off, and he does get to walk away here.
Another example of why Hecarim fighting this Corki is not really ideal. Corki just presses W, and Hecarim goes, well,
yeah,
I guess you kind of get away with this one. But all things considered, not much loss there. Just a few summoners blown. Yodeler blows his flash. Billy and Drangus both blow theirs. And I mean, in a 2v2 where your side is that much weaker, I think that that's actually an okay result for Best Friends Alliance. So it's good to not give more kills over, get sort of further into this hole that you have. Because as things currently stand, they're still in a situation where they can put up a fight in these team fights, especially with Feathers and Fur being as powerful as he is this game.
Yeah, and we're going to need to see some healing reduction brought up on the side of Team 10 here. 2 Gore Drinkers, and of course a Shield Bow Corki coming in, so a decent chunk of healing on their side, but honestly, Best Friends Alliance needs it too, because they're up against that Seraphine, which that alone, the Seraphine and the Hecarim, is enough healing to justify it. But we see a fight gonna probably break out here. The Zenith Blade comes in, but a nice flay, and the Solar Flare misses. Winnie the Doom flashes out.
Winnie the Doom's just playing so well this game. He's just shutting down everything they want to do aggressively, and also being an aggressive menace himself. It's just been super solid from him. As I say that, he does.
Ooh, he's overextending a little bit here. This is pretty dangerous. He's got the flay up. Zenith Blade misses. There's a TP advantage on the top side. Encore comes in onto 2. The Hecarim ult comes in, takes out Jarvan real quick. That Leona's in a bad spot. They're all on top of the package, and they don't care. They're just taking so much damage from it. Ouch! The big one comes in and it takes out Winnie the Doom. But still a winning fight and a dragon claimed.
Yeah, and 2 more kills for Book of Coconuts as well, who in that fight really didn't get touched. And if he's not getting touched in these fights as on-hit Varus that's 9-0, you can kiss the chances of winning a team fight goodbye.
Absolutely.
I said they had a fighting chance, but they have to be able to get on to Book of Coconuts, otherwise they are just going to get shredded. That Varus does so much damage right now, particularly with the finished Kraken Slayer and Tier 2 boots. Not to mention, he's sitting on 3,000 gold.
Yeah. Curtains opened up on him. I don't think it's even possible for that to kill him, but it will kind of zone him off the wave here. Leona's coming in, though. If he greeds, he is going to die. The root doesn't land in on him, and he's going to walk away just fine. Probably buy himself up a Runans and another nice little item for him here.
Yeah. Oh, look, top lane.
Winnie the Doom coming in top lane. I'm not sure if they can kill this Urgot. Remember, he has Gore Drinker in his back pocket. We'll have to see what comes in. There it is. There's the Ignite. He's taking up so much damage, but the Fear Beyond Death comes in onto Higgy, and he flips him over. He's taking him out, doing so much damage. Higgy's going in as the zombie, and when he's looking for the hook, not going to land. Feathers and Fur lands the 2v1. A little bit of a strange play to go for if you're Team 10 there. I mean, Sion's doing just fine. He can just farm up as much as you like, but when he says he thought there was an opportunity for a free kill, and he comes in, but just barely taken down. You have to remember, Urgot has 25% true damage in his kit, practically, with that ult.
I will say, I think they could have killed him there. I think there was a little bit of miscommunication. Winnie the Doom nearly pulled Feathers and Fur out of the Sion queue, which made Higgy just sort of proc it a little bit early while Feathers and Fur was still CC'd, and he didn't get the knock up. So if they had maybe layered their CC a little bit better, they probably would have brought him down. I mean, you saw how little HP he lived with after the Sion passive.
Yeah, it was definitely possible. Look at Feathers and Fur here. He is behind the bottom lane, but he's getting locked in on by Winnie. Although Coconuts is split off. Winnie's gonna get caught out here. The E misses, but the ult comes in. It's gonna take him out and execute him soon enough. Gets him. The Fear comes in. He flashes it in, takes him out. Cataclysmed up. Coconuts flashes out of the Cataclysm, though. He can put out damage if he can auto-attack. He's here. He's putting out the damage. He gets EQ'd on by Jarvan, and who just barely takes him out from Urgot. Rockets flying in, shut down. Big one for Feathers and Fur.
Yeah, and that was a really, really big ult miss by Book of Coconuts, because missing that ult allows Feathers and Fur to flash on him with the Fear and ultimately get a 1,000 gold shutdown. Now, all of a sudden, in these team fights, which were already hopeful, you've got an Urgot who's sitting on the second most gold in the game by a significant margin. That is going to be an absolute menace in these team fights. If the fights end up being front to back still, Team 10 will still be able to shred through him, because the Varus does do a lot of damage to that Urgot still, but it just makes these fights a lot scarier for Team 10, and it means that they're going to have to be able to play them a lot less recklessly than they have been. We saw that Dragon fight where they were sitting in the Corki package. They're not going to be able to do that with this Urgot being as strong as he is.
Urgot is strong, but I think he's spending his gold in all the wrong places.
Oh.
Gore Drinker and a Ravenous Hydra, both items I really wouldn't recommend here, because Titanic is just so broken on Urgot, if we're being honest. It's really, really good with him. He's going to be so squishy with that Ravenous Hydra. It is good synergy with the Gore Drinker. It is decent stats, and it gives you the lifesteal, but Urgot does enough damage, and you're going to life enough with the Conqueror, that going for a build this squishy is really, really dangerous, especially against the team with this much CC.
It's high risk, but it's also very high reward. Oh, but
here's Magic Tang with all the move speed coming in onto Billy Willard. He's just getting caught out here, but he's doing so much damage to the Seraphine. Takes her out, turns it into Oldler. Held his ult there, kind of greeted it.
Well, holding the ult wasn't the problem. He could have just, I mean, Billy was dead. He could have just played back and just let his team kill Billy there, but he just kind of stays in auto attack range and ends up getting killed for it. So just way too aggressive from him, but...
Yeah, nerf Snugglebot, no flash now. Should have been noted. Book of Coconuts blew his ult to get rid of that flash here. Feathers and Fur is here for this fight, but so is Higgy. We'll have to see how it unfolds. Yodeler does have TP, and Billy Willard does not, though. So he can get here much sooner to this dragon, and they can probably start it up. He's TPing in right now. Corki coming in. He's picking up the package. Atchutang going in. He's in the middle of three people. Lands a big ult going through them. Here's the Seraphine ult. Lands onto three people. Triple charm. And here's Urgot in the middle of everybody. Hecarim running through as well. Winnie the Doom lands a nice hook, stalling him so much to work, putting out the lifesteal, purging right through them. Here's Coconuts doing so much damage. The E face plants him right into the wall. Corki's here. He needs one more hit onto Coconuts, and he's going to take him out, but the big one misses. And I will say instantly beautiful from Book of Coconuts. He abused his auto attack range there onto Billy Willard. He knew he couldn't hit him, and he knew Coconuts knew he could hit Billy Willard, but he could not be hit back. That is perfect spacing there by him, and I'm going to give him full credit and say that it was totally on purpose. That was really nicely played.
Yeah, no, he played that fight incredibly well, both kiting Feathers and Fur and getting in those sort of extra hits onto Billy Willard, both that couldn't get hit back. That was amazingly done by him. Something I want to note, though, is that fight was very close to being bad. If Urgot did have the sort of Stride Breaker like you mentioned, or Titanic Hydra, maybe things could have gone
if he has
differently.
Stride Breaker Titanic, I think he just brain dead wipes that fight. If I'm honest with you, he just loses everybody there, but we're in the game we're in. We have the items we have. And I will say, honestly, what made that fight hard was Machu Tang super overextended. He basically had to use his ult to disengage. He didn't get a super good fear with it. And he was kind of out of the fight and hovering on the outside because he had no E, he had no ult to re-enter. So it was very hard, almost a 4v5.
Is that while he was using his ult through them, Feathers and Fur shot his ult at where he was and actually whiffed it entirely. So it was Hecarim ult for the Urgot ult, which honestly, in this particular game, is very worth it for Team 10. Yeah. I mean, you saw how much health Book of Coconuts had. Imagine that, but there's an Urgot that's ulting one of your teammates. All of a sudden, that fight gets a lot harder. See,
Feathers and Fur trying to damage Higgy. He's having a tough time, though. Almost breaks the shield.
That's some top lane action, I think we call it.
For sure. Feathers and Fur probably eyeballing a Black Cleaver in the store right about now. I would highly recommend it. Your team's got quite a bit of AD, and the enemy team's got quite a lot of armor, so it's going to be a pretty good purchase here. And I will say instantly, as far as while we're on itemization, Snugglebutt, why do you have Collector, man? You need Lord Dominic's. That item is so good. And so good against this team. They have 2 tanks, and the Thresh also building tank items, so 3 tanks really that Lord Doms is going to be crazy good against.
Yeah, I think that a Collector is still not the worst item you can pick up, of course. I think that item is, particularly on Jhin, still a very solid item. I think it's a little more popular than it should be on other champions, but...
yeah, Jhin doesn't have a lot of better options.
Yeah, it is a little bit, like, rough as an item when you're going up against this Hecarim with 3 armor items, this Scion with 3 armor items. So
they are beefy boys.
It is a little tough, but on the other hand, Snugglebutt isn't always going to be hitting them. I think there's something to be said for the amount of damage that it gives to the squishy people such as Yodeler and Book of Coconuts. Oh, top lane. He's going for it.
He lands onto Higgy. He's putting out a lot of damage on him, getting all these procs from his legs, doing that percent health damage. Higgy lands the ult, gets the knockup, and the ult expires from Urgot, so he's not going to be able to finish off Higgy. Showing he can do damage to him if he can proc enough legs, but still, Higgy just a little bit too tanky.
Something to note this game is that no matter how far ahead this Forest gets, Billy is still scaling up. This Corki is oh, wait a minute. The hook
comes in from Winnie the Doom. Putting out a little bit of damage. Another hook chains in, gonna pull him into the box. Flay lands again. Zenith Blade going nowhere. Machu Tang putting out the damage on him. Seraphine hitting up. The Solar Flare comes out, but Machu Tang says, please just die, and blows his ult to take him out.
And Winnie the Doom, to finish him off, lands one final hook, this one truly being the death sentence, but Higgy in some trouble.
Feathers and Fur flashes in, he's got the Fear Beyond Death on top of him, but it's going to be hard to finish him off. Can Sion get another shield off? Feathers and Fur still chasing him, but he just can't hurt this man. The Juggernaut indeed.
And we see that is why we picked Sion. My man just said, yeah, you can beat me up for an hour. All right, I'm going to leave now.
He didn't have to do anything. He just walked away. He just pressed W and walked away. How easy is it?
I will say the path he chose to walk away was definitely the correct one. Going back through Feathers and Fur and into the longer lane was actually better than trying to run straight down through that jungle path in that scenario, because it sort of made him have to do a full turnaround, because the flash sort of put him blocking the path, so knowing to turn around there is Correct.
Here we are, Soul Point, Cloud Soul on the map. Like I said, it's so good for Team 10, but Corky's here with the package. Feathers and Fur is here with the Guardian Angel. Here's the hook, and here's a huge Hecarim ult and a huge Seraphine ult. Sion comes in from behind, lands a big ult as well. The Feathers and Fur is in the middle of everyone, gets a big fear. He's doing so much damage with the Purge. Book of Crayons goes down, the Gore Drinker doing big work. Look at Feathers and Fur go. They're out of damage. Matthew Tang, you can't do that. Billy Willard does too much damage and takes him out with a flash. That is gonna be maybe an ace if Billy Willard can take out Sion. Doesn't look like it. They get 4 kills, and they're gonna get the Cloud Dragon as well. I say overextended in that fight, walking a little too far forward and just getting taken out. Doesn't get to pump out the DPS like he wanted.
I'm so sad. That fight was such a good start for Team 10. They just had to wait a little bit. Higgy had a absolutely disgusting flank. If they just let that Sion ult engage the fight, rather than forcing the engage with Matthew Tang, they could have layered Matthew Tang on top of the Sion ult, Seraphine ult on top of that, and just wiped the floor with them. But a little bit too early means that Feathers and Fur gets to sort of start the fight without anyone really in the way aside from Thresh, to let him get on that backline. Oh,
Higgy ults to get the turret here, but he's getting beaten up by Corky. But he just charges Q, says, "Get away from me." Looks like Higgy's working towards a stone plate, which I love to see. He needs that magic resist against Corky anyways, and of course when you get as much free HP as Sion, buying an item that gives you a ton of resistances and a shield based on your HP, pretty good.
Feathers and Fur pick up a Black Cleaver.
Sterak's Gauge, which is
a solid item.
If you're a ranged champion, it is a lot less effective. That is one of the bangs of Urgot of forever now, is that he cannot use those weak ranged items as well, such as Death's Dance or the Sterak's. But still a pretty solid item, and looks like he's not going for a Black Cleaver. He is going for a Chempunk Chainsword instead with that Executioner's Calling, which I said they will need healing reduction, and he's opting for the damage one. I like it more than Thornmail as well. But no Black Cleaver coming in to shred for his team. They're just hoping Billy Willard can do most of the damage.
Yeah, because, I mean, Nerf Snugglebutt is not going to be really doing damage until his 4th item at this point. We can see the Last Whisper in his inventory. You have to imagine that's going to be the Lord Dominix we had mentioned earlier. But that means that he's not going to be getting his Infinity Edge until at least his 4th item.
Yeah.
Which means that he is going to take a while to be online. But when he comes online, he's going to be dealing damage. It's just that in order to hang on for that long, they're going to need Feathers and Fur and Billy to be dishing out the damage in these team fights.
Yeah, that is why I will criticize the Collector's 2nd item until the end of time, because he could have Lord Dom 2nd and then Infinity Edge 3rd. Nonetheless, he is still working towards that spike, and Jin, a deceptively good scaling ADC. He gets so much AD, and he can also get an RFC online, just chunking with every auto. A hook comes in, the Sion ult following in. Book of Coconuts lands a big ult that's going to chain onto so many people. A nice Solar Flare comes in, but here is Feathers and Fur in the middle of everybody. He gets the Fear Beyond Death onto the Sion, fears up everybody. He's doing so much damage, but he's going to get put into the Guardian Angel instantly. Here he is up versus 4 people. Can he walk out of it? Billy Willard doing so much damage on the side, just free hitting. It's a triple kill. That is 4 items on the Corky. That is so much damage, just disrespecting him.
And that was some tunnel vision is what that was as well.
Yeah.
We saw Yodeler was running away from them, flashed into his team for assistance, and they're all just looking at Feathers and Fur getting up from Guardian Angel. And so Billy's just like, okay, I'm going to shoot you while you're waiting for him to stand up. And it's just free real estate for him. He gets a triple kill. They get the Baron, and all of a sudden, they're ahead 500 gold.
Yeah, and this Corky is scaling up very, very fast. I will say, Billy Willard, huge team player here. I wanted to see what he was going to buy. He could buy a BF sword, but he buys control wards instead. He saves that slot for control wards like a real team player. He says, I got enough damage. Let's just get the vision until I can finish a full Infinity Edge or whatever it is he wants to go.
And I think that is, against this team, very, very important. Because you do not want to let Hecarim flank. You do not want to let Sion flank. And especially with the dragon coming up in a minute, he knows he's not going to have his completed item by that time, most likely. So he's just saying, okay, if I can help my team get good vision for the dragon fight, we can win that, not let them get the soul. and then I'll get my item. So I think it's the right play by him.
Yeah.
He is going to pick up the package for this fight. I think so. I don't know how long the package lasts, actually. It's true.
Real quick, looks like he's got the package, yeah.
Well, I just mean I don't know if it's going to be up.
I believe it is a 40-second duration
Ooh,
that he can hold on to it for.
That's going to be close then.
Yeah. We'll have to see how he uses it. Maybe going to use it more to look for a pick before the dragon, but we'll just have to see. Do keep in mind, Feathers and Fur doesn't have that Guardian Angel ready for this fight, so he's going to be much less of a frontline here with this pretty squishy build. He's going to get knocked up by Sion, but he eased him in, and he's going to get rooted up. Sion, remember, has plate. Look how tanky he is. He's in the middle of everyone, though. This is dangerous. Here's Jarvan in the middle of everybody. Corki
just sitting on the package.
Package doing so much damage, gets eaten up by Urgot, a big fear. Coconut's putting out so much damage, but he gets flipped by Urgot, and that is going to be the fight over. Team 10 gets wiped. Yodeler, only survivor here, and another Cloud Dragon gonna go to Best Friends Alliance.
Yeah, and I have to question Higgy there. He gets into a scrap with Feathers and Fur, and either he doesn't communicate or he communicates, hey, we should fight here, because Matchutane comes in and tries to help him out, while Yodeler and Book of Coconuts are so far away. Yeah. You cannot engage without those two. You have to layer your CC in these fights well, so Book of Coconuts can shred through the enemy team. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a split fight like that, where everything just goes wrong so quickly. Oh,
ouch! Goodbye. Just a big one and an auto from Corki just takes him out. He is so strong at this point. And I will say also, Higgy using his Stone Plate pretty poorly there. You have to save it until you're getting lower health. For a few reasons. But I can't speak. Here comes the train, lands straight onto Jin, but he gets flipped over. Matchutang and everybody, though, tanking up so much, putting out so much CC. Leona is dead as well. Coconut's going to be putting out the auto attack, standing in melee range of Urgot. A little questionable, but he has enough damage that he doesn't care. Working towards that Lord Dom's next, and probably should be able to finish it real soon.
Yeah, I mean, he just cashed it on 1,600 gold. He is very, very wealthy at this point. And he's showing, hey, we may have lost the last couple team fights, but I still do a lot of damage. Feathers and Fur got absolutely melted in that fight.
Yeah. But what I was saying about the Stone Plate is you're going to want to save it on these tanks until you're about 50%. For reasons. A, because the passive on the Stone Plate actually gives you more and more resistances as it stacks up and as you take more damage. So the shield is more efficient based on your resistances, of course, but more importantly, in this specific game against Urgot, if you can just avoid getting executed and play with your back line, they will kill the front line so easily. But if Feathers and Fur can get a big fear and put out that zoning pressure, it's a really, really hard team fight for Team 10.
Yeah. Oh, we see Matchutang looking for something on Billy.
This is not going to work out well. That's okay. Good thing he didn't go for that.
Yeah,
I think Billy Willard would just 1v1 him easily.
Yeah, he absolutely would. He's a full build Corki.
Yeah, look at him. Just finished Infinity Edge.
He is a strong Yordle.
Yeah, Machu, he does have a good bit of magic resist. 85 between the Stone Plate. I do love to see him buying up the Stone Plate as well. Like I said, you need magic resist for one person. It's just going to make you super tanky in general, so I think it's a very, very good item buy.
Something I'm really hoping to see is Yodeler has a Oblivion Orb in his inventory. I'm really, really, really hoping he doesn't build that into Morello's, but rather he builds it into the Putrefier.
Yeah, Chemtech Putrefier is a ridiculously good item. So, hoping to see him buy that up, but he hasn't bought a single support item yet, so we'll have to see if he continues that trend.
Yeah, I'm hoping he builds it. It's pretty bad if he doesn't, in my opinion. I think if you're doing that, you may as well have Book of Coconuts just pick up the healing reduction, because he's going to be better at applying it. But if you're helping him apply it with the Putrefier... Oh, just a
nice hook, but Coconuts just barely misses the chains of corruption here. And yeah, I agree. Putrefier is just bar none the best healing reduction item in the game. It's not even close. It gives it to your whole team, and it's an efficient item. That and Thornmail are just the best ones if you can buy them up. So I would love to see Yodeler get the Chemtech Putrefier.
He's sitting on 2200, and he does indeed pick up the Putrefier.
Nice.
That is good to see. That's also a good, just sort of mental thing to have in mind, because he's building all these sort of not support items, just kind of greedy, Leandries, Zonias, Seraph's Embrace.
Yeah.
He's Stress Baron.
Baron gets shredded by Urgot and Corki, so it's just going to go down nice and easy. Team 10 can't get in there.
They don't want to
They
fight
do have their items.
Though.
They are running away. Solar Flare comes in and totally whiffs. Encore onto 3
so
people,
dead.
and the Hecarim ult on top, along with the Varus ult. So much damage. Look at Feathers and Fur coming out of the GA. Stand clear, and they take him down easily. A few autos from Coconut. Very good zone control here from the support and jungle of them. And that is an ace. And 10 dead, but they have waves in their base in every single lane, so they can't get much out of it, though.
They're going
Dragon
to
is in 25, so they should get soul off of it.
And that is, as I said right before that fight started, you cannot fight this Team 10 team in those long hallways. Seraphine is just waiting for a team fight there to just layer her ult across your entire team. There's no place to sidestep it, and they just all get absolutely destroyed before that fight even has a chance to even begin, really. Yeah, and that is going to give over the Cloud Soul, and they lose their entire Baron, so it's just a complete disaster for Best Friend Alliance.
Yeah, they get charmed up, they get feared up, and then they get snared by Varus. It is just bad news after bad news. I will say, look at Billy Willard's inventory. He said goodbye Sword Shoes and bought a Guardian Angel to ensure if he does go down, he's gonna get a second chance at life. And having a Black Cleaver, but he sells that very inefficient Guardian Angel item while the cooldown is down for a Black Cleaver. I really like to see that.
Always good to see. I am not the biggest fan of the boots being sold here from Billy.
Yeah, it is a bit weird.
I think that a lot of the times it is the right play, but your enemy team just got a Cloud Soul, and people always think like, oh, Cloud Soul, it's when you ult. But it also just gives that 10% flat move speed, which means it's going to be so hard for him, even with this Fire Cannon, to catch up and move. Yodeler's a braver man than I, just basing there.
Yeah.
So I think Billy this could come to really, really just bite him, because the extra move speed from Cloud Soul is going to make it so hard for him to... Oh, wait a minute.
Engage could come in, but a nice Cataclysm onto 5 people comes in. Seraphine comes in over the top. That's 3 down. Varus is putting out so much damage. Though he's in a very dangerous position. Billy Willard takes him out. Feathers and Fur in the middle. Everyone gets a big Gore Drinker, but nice Stone Plate. Saved it for later like he should have. And Scion's chasing down the Corki. He's bonking him. He has GA, but you can't run away from that Cloud Soul Scion. Chemtech comes in. Hook misses, but the knockup's going to land. That's a shutdown over to Hecarim, and 60-second death timers across the board. At least 30 on the side of Best Friend.
And right away we see the not having boots really hurting Billy Willard. Scion should never be able to run Corki down in that scenario, but he just walks at him, and Corki's just so slow without those shoes compared to the Cloud Soul Scion that he just gets run down and killed through GA. So
yeah, I think they're gonna look for the end here. Billy Willard's not up for 30 seconds. They don't. They're gonna back up. Objectives on the map, they're not going to take the risk. They think they can win no matter what, so they're just going to take the recalls and take the safe play. It was definitely possible to end, but of course risky if you make any mistakes, so they go for the safe option.
Billy sells the GA and buys a Void Staff. He refunds that. He's
indecisive.
He needs the boots. He needs some... and if he doesn't build boots, he needs some sort of move speed. He picks up Lord Dominic's. I think that is definitely not the play here.
Void Staff is just better.
Yeah.
Because armor penetration doesn't do anything for Corki. He does, 90% magic damage, basically, between his auto attacks and his spells. I mean, I think he wants to keep the boots, and he wants to get Void Staff. So what I would do is keep the boots and sell RFC for Void Staff. Why does he need RFC? He's against, 3 super beefy frontliner kind of guys. He doesn't need that extra range, really. He just needs to be able to kill them.
Be careful here. Look how far Yodeler is.
Yeah, Yodeler's not here, but neither is Billy Willard.
They need to be careful regardless. one bad Jarvan EQ and lets Feathers and Fur get into your backline, but they end up getting out pretty safely.
Thought we might have seen Feathers and Fur send Higgy to the sky with that Lantern interaction in Urgot, but we didn't.
A shame, to be sure.
Yeah, I was worried. I was worried.
Yodeler keeps ending up split up from his team, which is definitely not where Seraphine wants to be.
Yeah, Seraphine just wants to press W on 5 people, really.
Yeah, Seraphine is a champion that excels at sort of being in the center of the death ball.
Yeah.
But he's trying to steal the blue buff away, doesn't quite manage to.
Almost.
And when he's close to Winnie the Doom, it's okay, because this Thresh has been putting out a lot of peel and a lot of great hooks, great lanterns. He's been playing spectacular the whole game, and so being near him is just sort of a lot safer. But you see Baron spawning in 30 seconds.
35 on Baron and 138 on Elder Dragon. Gonna have to see how it sorts out. Looks like everyone's taking their recalls to set up for Baron. Like to see this early on. Everyone buying up their elixirs too. They know that this is very possibly the last fight of the game.
Yeah, I think... Well, I was going to say if this fight isn't the last fight of the game, it'll decide it, but it not really. If they don't end off of it, it's still either team's game. At this point, pretty much everybody is full build. It is just... any fight could be the end of all things, and they are just going to start the Baron up.
I mean, they shred it with Varus.
And look, Feathers and Fur's bot, he's looking to
here,
TP.
but he has TP. But it's going to be probably too late if they just burn it down.
Oh, Drangus!
He gets the steal, but is it going to be a winning fight? Cataclysm onto 3 people. Seraphine in the middle here, putting out big shields, big heals. Feathers and Fur still pushing bot lane, trying to put that pressure out for his team. That is a pretty big Baron steal. That's going to put a lot of pressure on the lanes for this Elder Dragon. Drangus will not be alive for the Dragon, though, is the only issue. So we'll have to see if Team 10 can take advantage of this 4v5 for this Elder Dragon.
You have to in this scenario. If you let them steal the Elder, and then you get the kill, and you just don't go for the Dragon after, then it's like they just got it for nothing.
Yeah, I will say this is perfect positioning by Team 10. They're sending the Scion and the Hecarim in first to face check these bushes, which is what you need to do, because if they are waiting for you in there and Coconuts or Seraphine gets caught out, it's a losing fight. They force out the package nice and easy. Matthew Tang, they're just taking their entire health bars from the package.
Oh,
the Harpoon comes out onto Yodeler here, and he's going to get the Fear Beyond Death, fears him up. Coconuts putting out so much damage, gets grabbed by the E, and that is going to be Coconuts putting out so much damage, and he gets taken down by the Hydra. Hook comes out and misses onto the GA target. Gonna be
That's the game.
Matthew Tang is the only one left alive, and I cannot believe the disrespect for the package.
That I was about to say that was great from Matthew Tang. He made him use the package. It does so much damage, and then Yodeler and him just walked on top of it and sat there, and it lost them the game.
Yeah, as nicely as I can say it, what the hell was that? You have to note Corki's package. It's like better than Rumble Ult.
Yeah.
It has a ridiculous AD scaling, and it does so much damage. The only reason it's not better than Rumble Ult is because Corki knocks you out of it when he packages. But if you step right back into it, you're going to die.
Yeah. And that was just an absolutely tragic finale to a really close game where I feel like both teams had a lot of really good plays in it. I feel like that game could have gone either way for about 90% of the game, but just such a tragic way to misstep at the very end of it gives the 2-0 victory to Best Friends Alliance.
Yeah, they take it home after a 48-minute game. Billy Willard, Kabuka Coconuts kind of matching up head-to-head as the hyperscaling ADCs here, but doesn't quite turn out for them. So that is all for that set of games, all for week 5 of Rampage Open. Team 2 dropped to 0-5 game record, or Team 10, sorry, dropped to 0-5 game record, and Best Friends Alliance go up to 3-2. We'll have to see how they do in the weeks going forward. But that is all for us tonight. Good games to everybody on BFA and Team 10. But we will